What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I had to jump back onto Motorfest here to look at the lovely Ferrari F8 Spyder. This thing, I have to admit, is going to be a beautiful looking car. Now, I would say a lot of players are like, man, this is not a car we wanted, or like, we didn't ask for this. But the way I do look at this is, yes, it is going to be a new car in this game. We are also barely going to be 4 months into this game's life cycle, so I would basically expect a lot of different cars to be added. And I do think adding anything in this game that is new is obviously great. Also, what movie is that over there? Giant? Interesting. I think we all know what movie that's probably copying. But overall though, this thing is going to be a spider, so the top is obviously down. If it is going to rain, you're most likely going to turn into a Jeep or a built-in hot tub. Probably not going to look that great. For some odd reason, I don't know why my character looks like Magnum. Kind of odd. If this was the other Ferrari, I would most likely be a private investigator. Now this thing is also going to have some customization on it though, but I did end up making it blue and also putting the other rims on this car when buying it, which by the way is going to cost you $1.4 million to get it, which surprisingly is not all that bad, but most likely like the going rate for like a hypercar. Now unfortunately right now it is going to be nighttime, so you can't really see what this car does actually look like unless I find like a light that I can sit under that kind of worked. One thing I do love about the Ferraris though is going to be their overall body design. I also do want to start a debate in the comments. Do you guys like Ferrari or Lamborghini more? Which one is going to be your favorite and why? I have a feeling there's probably going to be a lot of different answers. One thing I do love about this car though is going to be the interior. I really do feel like Ferrari and Lamborghini make amazing interiors. Like look at the design in this thing. You can also see like every button and like the overall details like the carbon fiber and of course the F8 Spyder thing on the right side there. I really do love the way the Ferraris look. Plus, for some odd reason, I don't know why, but I really do love having a regular RPM reader in a car, even on a motorcycle. Don't get me wrong though, I do like having like a regular digital dash on the car, but my goodness, having like a legit RPM reader looks incredible. And in some ways, it's probably going to be like a regular, I guess you could say, like iconic thing. I also have no idea why I have a plane in front of me. Also, there is going to be another SF90 there, which does look great in yellow. But I do want to know, though, guys, do you like the digital clusters or a regular RPM reader like this one? I would probably say it's probably going to be fairly mixed. But now let's go drive the F8 Spyder right now and see how this car does perform. I do have a feeling I am most likely going to have to mess around with the pro settings on this thing. And that's probably going to come down to the car sliding a bit more. But overall, though, I really do like Ferraris a lot. Like, I have been taking a bigger liking to them. Not going to lie though, guys, I pretty much am a big fan of like Lamborghini. I guess you could say more. In some ways, I'm probably going to pick a Lambo over a Ferrari, but recently at least I have been noticing I've been liking like the 812 Superfast and even something like the 488 as well. Like that thing is gorgeous. And I would say something like the F8 here is going to be a beautiful car as well. Again though, let me know which one you guys like more in the comments below. I do feel like a lot of people are most likely going to pick something like a Lambo. Now, I do want to admit, though, I'm not saying everybody is not a fan of, like, Ferraris, but I do feel like a Lamborghini is probably going to be a person's choice. I really might end up being wrong on that, but from a lot of the things I have seen, that's probably going to be the answer. Now, a few things I did notice, of course, driving the F8 here, so yes, it is obviously a hypercar. If this thing was going to be a regular street Tier 2, it would be incredibly overpowered. Can you all imagine having a Tier 2 vehicle doing 290 miles an hour? I should probably get my license revoked. My goodness. Dang, he was like pulled off like nothing happened. I guess he doesn't need insurance because he got hit by a Rari. Who knows? But regardless though, driving this thing on the road here, I did notice it's obviously going to be quick. Is it going to be the fastest hypercar in the game? Well, probably not because most of them have a set top speed now. At least compared to like the Crew 2 where every car did like 300 plus miles an hour with ease. In this game though, pretty much every car does around 300. Now the big question is though, running something like a Nitro Chemist set, is it going to be good? And can I actually keep the car on the road? Probably not. But I do want to do a quick top speed test with this car. Of course I will have to head toward a highway that I can do it on. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was trying to find a proper highway to really test out the top speed on this car. It does turn out the same highway I did end up running the 632 big block probably is the best way, at least because the highway is going to be fairly open, alleviating me from running into a car every time I go around a corner. But my goodness though, one thing I have to say is I am glad many of the hypercars in this game are similar. So right now guys, 302 miles an hour was the top speed there, which is pretty much going to put this thing right around every other hypercar. Now, I'm sure some players might be like, well, dang, every hypercar has like the same top speed, so like, what's going to set them apart, or like, what's going to make one car better than the other? The big thing here is most likely going to come down to the initial acceleration of that vehicle, and the biggest thing about that is also going to be the way that it does corner. We can clearly see some cars are going to corner more than others, like some are probably going to like slide around the turn or, even maybe like fly off the road for that matter, while like a Bugatti can grip around the turn like an Alpha GP car. So it is most likely going to come down to that vehicle's overall handling and acceleration. One way I did figure that would be a good way to test out the F8 Spyder is to most likely jump into an event to where I can drive this thing on the highway, and of course at the same time I get to go against the AI. Yay, lucky me! The AI on level 5 in a hypercar. Let's see what I can do though. So right off the bat though, I did notice the Ferrari F8 has some great acceleration, which if you guys are wondering, yes, the Bugattis are going to be insanely good. Funnily enough though, I normally run a Lamborghini on most of the grand races I do actually do, and I also run something like one of the Lambos in like a regular event. It's also going to make them a lot faster, that way off the line you can pass them. Sure, the Bugattis can probably handle better, like, maybe handle like top speed a bit better, even though most of the hypercars I do drive right now are going to have a very similar top speed to them. Also, it's kind of funny, by the way, big tip on that tunnel, if you guys are doing this event or you're doing a race on that tunnel, make sure you take the other lane on the opposite side of the road. It's going to be much quicker. So currently on the highway right now, I'm doing 300 miles an hour and I cannot catch anybody in front of me. This is most likely going to be a pretty interesting event here. Let me see if I can hit my nitrous. The way they do drive, though, at least I can probably pass them, even though I would say the Ferrari here is probably going to be fairly decent, though. So the F8 so far, I would probably say from my initial impressions, is it is going to be a good car, at least for the hypercar category. Is a lot of players going to run it? Well, I don't know if a lot of people are a big fan of a Ferrari in this game. At least in most of the grand races I do, or even like summits, a lot of players pick a Bugatti. So is this car going to take over the Bugatti's place? I would probably almost say no and most likely put money on that it's not going to. But at least at the same time, you can run something like this Ferrari in the events, and most likely get a fairly decent score. Nice driving there, bud. I like how they all legit just drove off the road in the exact same corner, almost just like a grand race. Weird. Am I the only one that thinks many of the AI drivers in this game are similar to some of the PvP players? My goodness, they are almost accurate just like them. But my overall impressions on this car in this event is it's probably going to be fairly decent. Is it going to be the best one though? Probably not. Now, one thing that does come to mind with the new F8 Spyder is going to come down to the fact that are a lot of players going to spend $1.4 million on this car? And that's probably going to come down to the fact that you might not end up having all the cars you want, or like, maybe this vehicle is not going to be on your list for right now. And I would also say many players might be looking for cars they can buy that can replace some of their other ones. Is the F8 going to replace some of the Bugattis and some of the better hypercars? As of right now, I would probably say no, but at the same time, it's definitely a good competitive vehicle, and I will definitely be trying this thing out in the future summits, but the crazy part of me would most likely tell you to go buy the Ferrari right now and enjoy this thing because it really is going to be a fun car to drive, especially in first-person view. I also like the fact that it is going to be a convertible in Hawaii. That's going to be insanely iconic. But I would say my overall impressions on this F8 is I would most likely give this thing like a 9 out of 10, even though for most players it's probably going to be like, well, Blocked, why do you like it? I have to say, though, it is going to be a fun car to run. It might not necessarily be the best thing out there, but I will definitely be trying this thing out in future summits and some grand races as well. I would like to know what you guys think about the Ferrari F8 Spyder in the comments below, and here's the customization for it. And do not worry though, I'm also going to go over all of the customization for the F8 Spyder. So the first thing is going to be a carbon fiber hood, which I would say on an F8 looks pretty dang awesome. And then moving over to the front bumpers here, we are going to have a different change to the top there, basically making like the vent part of it painted. And then for the next one though, we're also going to have a painted headlight on the car, which does look pretty dang nice. I might actually have to throw that on there. Then we're going to have another one that basically adds the carbon fiber splitter, and then of course makes the entire front bumper painted. And then after that, we also have the carbon fiber down there. And then for the other bumpers, though, we are going to see more carbon fiber and also the splitter being on some of them. And for this one, it's also going to have an extended splitter on it. And then, of course, it's also going to take off like the painted part of like the vents there. also adding carbon fiber and darkening out the headlights. So I would say most of the customization on this Ferrari is pretty decent. We also do know how most customization on these cars is going to be a challenge. But moving over to the rims though, there is going to be a total of 5 different manufactured rims you can put on this car, which I did find that to be slightly interesting. Like many of the cars have like maybe one or two. And of course you can also add all of the rims from the game itself, which are, a chrome color and they look odd. And then after that though, we also have the caliper colors, which for me is yellow. Of course matching like the blue aesthetic of the car and the yellow like Ferrari symbol of the really nice horsey. And then moving over to the next part, we have the mirrors here, which you have the carbon and regular painted. Then we have these skirts here. So the one I have currently is like a regular one. Then we have the painted full bottom there. We have the carbon. Then we have this one. So let's go with the carbon. That is going to make that part carbon fiber, which looks really nice actually. Add that to it. Then we have this one, which does actually make the car have a top on it. The fact that they actually give you the option to do that, by the way, looks incredible. I do know in like the beginning of the video, most players are probably going to go, well, dang, Blocked, you can add a top to the car if you don't want to get rained on. Well, it turns out I did end up doing the customization after. Funnily enough, though, I would most likely leave the top off of it. Now, moving over to the wings, though, there's only going to be 4 different ones, so you can make the back pieces carbon fiber. And then, of course, you also have like a small lip on the back of it. And then finally, you have like the regular, I guess you could say, carbon lip, which, by the way, looks amazing on this thing. Let's add that to it. Then for the rear bumpers, though, we're only going to have 5 of these. So the second one adds like I guess it's like a dark painted color on the exhaust tips. Then we have this one, which is a black painted color. Then we have that one. And then finally this one, which does change like the bottom diffuser piece and the exhaust tips themselves. I would say overall the regular one looks nice, but let's add this one to it. And then for the interior though, I'm easily going to go with like the yellow stitching on this car to match like the outside of it. I would say this overall spec is going to look amazing on this Ferrari.